Intraocular lens insertion can be done for if there is a good potential for vision in these patients. If the posterior capsule is not intact, we place the lens on the iris. We clip the lens. We call it iris claw lens or iris fixated lens, where we clip the iris with the lens, or a scleral fixated IOL, where the lens is implanted and sutured onto the sclera. The donor cornea is placed on the recipient bed, and the viscoelastic is injected over the iris and the anterior lens capsule to push it down. And this viscoelastic will not only push the iris and lens capsule in position, it will also protect the corneal endothelium. Suturing is a very crucial step in keratoplasty. First, you place 4 sutures. So, these are the cardinal sutures. After placing the graft, this is the frill of recipient and host tissue, and this is the cornea that has been placed, the donor cornea. So, this is the iris. So, this is the lens pupil. So, we place the suture. The first we place at 12 o'clock, which is followed by 6 o'clock, and then we place one suture at 3 and another at 9 o'clock respectively. So, this has to be done very correctly, because these 4 sutures will actually orient the graft in the correct position on the bed, on the host. So, 2 sutures are placed in the vertical meridian and 2 in the horizontal meridian, and the suture depth has to be up to 90 degrees, 90%. Equidistant bites are then taken. So, you have to place bites like this, and accordingly we complete the suturing. So, based on this, we usually each quadrant will contain about 4 sutures, and we bury the knots on the donor side or the recipient side, but usually it is preferred to bury the knots, because sutures itself can be one of the causes for graft rejection. Protruding sutures is very dangerous in keratoplasty, because it can be one of the causes for graft rejection, and we always have to check the wound for wound leak. Interrupted sutures should be done. Interrupted sutures, particularly the advantages are good to use in children, in cornea with uneven thickness and cornea with localized areas of inflammation. We can avoid dragging that connective cornea and producing vascularization. Here you have interrupted sutures that you see. Interrupted sutures is one of the techniques that is being done in almost all centers for the ease of suturing. So, these are the various sutures, that places where sutures are usually done. The disadvantage with the interrupted sutures is it can produce more inflammation and more vascularization. So, this continuous sutures, you can see that the sutures are continuous, and the continuous sutures have certain advantages and disadvantages. There will be less inflammation and better wound healing and tension, but it is a little more difficult. And suppose the patient has a particular problem here. If it's an interrupted suture, you can just remove that suture if there is vascularity or there's some sign of inflammation. But if it is a continuous suture, it is a problem, because it is continuous. The suture gets loose even if there's a problem here. When you pull that, the suture can get loose even in other quadrants.